You won't believe what happened on stage when David Mann suddenly paused the show and turned to the crowd with a warning that left everyone speechless. What began as a normal performance quickly spiraled into a tense, unforgettable moment. Emotions ran high, whispers turned into gasps, and the atmosphere was charged with a mix of shock and disbelief. This isn't just a stage incident, it's a glimpse into a side of David Mann few have ever seen, and the story behind it is more explosive than anyone could have imagined. For years, David Mann has been celebrated for his comedic talent and heartfelt performances. But what happened during this recent stage event revealed a side of him few have ever witnessed. Behind the laughter and applause, tension was brewing, and the events that unfolded were unlike anything fans expected. In this video, we're taking you behind the scenes of the shocking moment when David Mann stopped the show and delivered a warning that had the entire audience on edge. You won't believe what he said, why he said it, and the reactions that followed. From whispered backstage drama to explosive onstage revelations, this story uncovers truths that have been hidden from the public eye until now. Stay with us because this is where it gets unbelievable. By the end, you'll understand not only the gravity of the incident, but also why it has sparked conversations across the entertainment world. This isn't just another stage mishap. This is a story about tension, emotions, and the pressures of fame that nobody saw coming. The night had started like any other show. Fans filled the theater, excited for an evening of comedy, laughter, and the signature charisma of David Mann. The lights were bright, the music was playing, and the crowd's energy was electric. But beneath the smiles and applause, there was a tension that no one in the audience could fully grasp. According to eyewitnesses, the incident began subtly. David Mann appeared distracted, pausing slightly longer than usual between jokes. Some audience members assumed he was improvising or building suspense, but the truth was far more serious. Insiders reveal that just moments before the warning, Mann had noticed something in the crowd that unsettled him. Whether it was a specific individual's behavior, an unexpected disruption, or backstage information he had just received, the moment triggered a reaction that would leave everyone stunned. Then it happened. In the middle of a routine, David Mann abruptly stopped, looked out into the audience with a serious expression, and issued a warning. The crowd froze. The laughter died down, replaced by whispers and tension. People didn't know whether to cheer, gasp, or be silent. It was as if time itself had paused. What makes this incident even more striking is the way Mann delivered the warning. Calm yet firm, measured but emotional, it was clear that this was not scripted. Those closest to him later admitted that they had never seen him behave this way on stage. The warning was not only directed at a specific situation, but also carried a broader message about respect, boundaries, and accountability, a rare glimpse into the seriousness behind his usually comedic persona. But here's the cliffhanger. While the audience heard the warning, what no one realized at the time was the deeper drama unfolding behind the scenes. There were tensions, rivalries, and conflicts that had been simmering for weeks, and this moment was the breaking point. What exactly prompted David Mann to stop the show and speak out? That revelation is coming up in the next section, and it changes everything. While the audience experienced confusion and suspense, the real story was unfolding backstage, a world few ever see. Sources close to the production reveal that tensions had been building for weeks before the incident. What appeared on stage as a sudden warning was actually the result of ongoing conflicts, pressures, and unresolved issues that had quietly simmered behind the scenes. Insiders say David Mann had been dealing with a mix of logistical challenges, last-minute changes to the show, and personal frustrations with certain members of the crew. While most performers managed to maintain their composure in such situations, something about that evening pushed him to a breaking point. It wasn't just about one disruption in the audience. It was the culmination of weeks of stress, behind-the-scenes misunderstandings, and unaddressed grievances that had quietly escalated. What makes this story even more compelling is the complexity of the relationships involved. David Mann, known for his approachable and humorous persona, is also fiercely protective of his craft. Crew members and collaborators describe him as someone who values professionalism above all else, and when lines are crossed or boundaries ignored, he doesn't hesitate to address the situation head-on. On that fateful night, it was clear to anyone watching, even from backstage, that Mann's warning carried more weight than a typical performer's offhand comment. Eyewitnesses also noted subtle signals in his body language before the warning: tightened jaw, focused gaze, and moments of silence that contrasted sharply with his usual comedic energy. Every pause, every measured word, hinted that something significant was about to unfold. The tension was tangible, almost electric, as if the entire theater could feel the underlying stress radiating from the stage. Then came the warning itself, delivered in a tone that combined authority with emotion. Unlike a scripted line or a rehearsed moment, Mann's words revealed his concern, frustration, and the seriousness of the situation. Crew members later shared that some audience members didn't fully grasp the weight of his message at the time, but those backstage understood immediately. This was a pivotal moment, not just for that performance, but for Mann's professional boundaries and personal standards. And here's where it gets even more intense. Insiders reveal that the warning wasn't just about the audience, it was also a message to certain individuals within his team. There had been miscommunications, overlooked responsibilities, and subtle betrayals that contributed to the moment. David Mann's ability to address it publicly without completely derailing the show was a testament to his experience, but the tension didn't end when the performance did. The cliffhanger here is this: what exactly were the backstage conflicts, and how deep did they go? The next section will reveal the identities, rivalries, and hidden dynamics that made this stage warning more than just a one-time incident. It was the tip of a much larger iceberg. To fully understand why David Mann's stage warning became such a pivotal moment, we need to look beyond the spotlight and examine the key players behind the scenes. While audiences often focus on the performance itself, the real drama was rooted in the intricate web of relationships, rivalries, and personal stakes that had quietly built up over time. Sources reveal that certain crew members had been at odds for weeks. Small miscommunications, overlooked responsibilities, and clashing personalities had created an atmosphere of subtle tension, like a storm brewing under calm waters. For David Mann, who values professionalism and respect above all else, these repeated issues were not minor. They represented a breakdown in the standards he had worked so hard to maintain throughout his career. Adding to the complexity were backstage politics involving managers, fellow performers, and technical staff. Mann reportedly had to navigate differing agendas, some of which prioritized personal gain over the cohesion of the show. These conflicts, though invisible to the audience, played a huge role in escalating the tension. Observers say Mann had been patient for weeks, attempting to address concerns quietly and diplomatically, but the pressures finally reached a point where a public, direct warning became unavoidable. Insiders also point to personal stakes that intensified the situation. For David Mann, this show was more than just another performance. It was a chance to reconnect with fans, maintain his reputation, and assert his authority as a respected entertainer. Any disruption or lack of cooperation from backstage staff threatened not just the immediate performance, but his broader legacy and credibility. Mann's warning, therefore, was as much about setting boundaries and protecting his professional image as it was about addressing the immediate incident. What makes this story truly compelling is the emotional weight carried by everyone involved. Sources close to Mann report that he was visibly frustrated, yet measured, a rare combination of vulnerability and authority. He had to strike a delicate balance, asserting his point without alienating collaborators or derailing the show. His ability to maintain composure under pressure speaks volumes about the level of professionalism and experience he brings to every performance. And then there's the ripple effect. The warning didn't just address the immediate issues. It sent a clear message to the entire team about accountability, respect, and the consequences of repeated lapses. According to insiders, some crew members were taken aback by the seriousness of Mann's words, realizing that what they might have perceived as minor issues were, in fact, matters of principle for him. To truly grasp why David Mann's stage warning was so significant, we need to go beyond the immediate incident and explore the hidden history behind it. What unfolded on that stage wasn't an isolated event. It was the culmination of months, possibly years, of simmering backstage tension, unspoken grievances, and professional pressures that few outsiders could ever see. Sources close to the production reveal that some of the issues dated back to previous tours and shows. Crew members and performers had experienced repeated misunderstandings and miscommunications that, while seemingly minor at the time, slowly built into a network of frustration and resentment. Every overlooked cue, delayed prop, or mismanaged schedule added invisible weight, creating a backstage environment ripe for conflict. For David Mann, someone known for his dedication and precision, these repeated lapses were not just inconveniences. They were affronts to his standards and his reputation. Insiders also disclosed personal dynamics that fueled the tension. Certain staff members reportedly felt overshadowed by Mann's experience and presence, while others struggled with competing egos and ambitions. These underlying interpersonal issues created a pressure cooker atmosphere, and by the night of the incident, it was ready to boil over. Mann's warning was not merely a reaction to a single disruption. It was a message about accountability, respect, and boundaries that had long been ignored or underestimated. What shocked observers most was how candid Mann was in addressing the situation. He didn't just issue a generic warning. He referenced behaviors, patterns, and incidents that highlighted ongoing backstage dysfunction. Crew members later admitted that hearing these truths spoken aloud was both surprising and eye-opening. Some realized for the first time that their actions, or inactions, had deeper consequences than they had anticipated, affecting not only the flow of the show, but the morale and professionalism of the entire team. Even more revealing were the subtle power dynamics Mann exposed without naming names. He addressed issues of responsibility, teamwork, and mutual respect in a way that forced everyone to reflect on their role in the production. In doing so, he transformed what could have been a minor stage hiccup into a moment of reckoning for the entire team. Observers described a mix of awe, respect, and tension, noting that Mann managed to assert authority while maintaining the integrity of the performance, a delicate balance few could achieve. And here's the most astonishing part. Insiders hinted that some of the revelations connected to ongoing disputes outside of the immediate production. Long-standing professional disagreements, unspoken rivalries, and prior conflicts had quietly influenced the environment leading up to the show. The stage incident was, in many ways, the perfect storm. A flashpoint where professional standards, personal frustrations, and accumulated backstage tension collided.